So now we're going to do a deep dive into activities. And we're going to do that we're going to look at activities in two ways. The first is we're going to look at types of activities, and then we're going to look at levels of activities. Now, on the types, we're going to look at two types of activities. We're going to look at decisions, and we're going to look at actions. So let's start with decisions. Now, with decisions, what we're really talking about is within any activity, you are going to be making two types of decisions. One is what's going on in this situation. We're going to call that a situational judgment. So you're saying, in order for me to achieve my results in this situation, I first need to figure out what I think is going on in that situation. So the first thing I need to decide what I'm going to pay attention to, what is important in this situation, what data of all the stuff that's going on in this area, what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, which of them should I be paying attention to, which ones can I ignore, which ones do I end up paying attention to, which one do I end up ignoring. And then for those things that I pay attention to, what do I decide they mean? What meaning do I assign to them? So what is the conclusion I make about what they mean? So now I have an idea what I think is going on in the situation in relation to my results by paying attention to certain things and deciding what those things mean or concluding what those things mean. And then the second thing I do is I decide what actions to take. So I go ahead and say, okay, look, because of what I think is going on here, this is what I'm going to do. Now, this is not necessarily how you're thinking about it, but this is just for the purpose of illustration, this is what's going on. Then you go ahead and take that action. So what do you end up doing becomes under the action space. What do you end up doing? And then how well do you end up doing it? Now, this is not assuming in any way that you ended up doing what you decided you were going to do. Hence the question, what did you end up doing? Or did you even end up doing anything at all? Because you might have decided to take an action and actually not do anything. So what did you end up doing? And then whatever you did end up doing, how well did you do it? So what's the quality of output that you ended up producing when you did it? So, but that's more in terms of observing how you did it, how much effort, how much you put into it. So that's, in a way, looking at the two types of actions, decisions and actions. And within that, we're looking at situational judgment on the decisions and action choice on the decisions. And then with the action itself, we want to see what you did and how well you did it. Then we move over to the levels of activity. And that's very similar to what we did with the levels when we did the deep dive into results with the level of results. So here, we're going to keep to the same idea of decisions and actions because that's how we're going to unpack it. But we're going to look at it from two perspectives, macro and micro. So at the macro level, let's use the same example of soccer. At the macro level, say you're playing soccer games, right? So again, what's the situational judgment when you're playing soccer games here? So basically, you're playing with a team. So at the macro level, you're looking at what information, what data do you pay attention to about that team? So what's the data you're paying attention to, and what are you concluding that data means? So what are you ignoring about the team? What are you paying attention to? And then what do you conclude it means? And then from an action choice perspective, what do you decide to do in terms of the gameplay? So what gameplay do you decide on? In terms of, okay, so this is what we're going to do to play against this team. And then on the action side, same thing plays out again. What gameplay did you actually play? So what did you actually do? And how well did you play? How well did you do it? So it's kind of the same thing again. But this is where it gets interesting. When you go to the micro level, the same thing is happening again. So the micro level, let's take the dribbling a defender as the example here again. So we've got the decisions and we've got the actions at the micro level as well. Now, at the situational levels, at the situational judgment level, you're actually looking at this defender coming at you and you're saying to yourself, what do I look at? The way he's walking, the way he's running, or she, the position of the body. What do you pay attention to? So what data do you pay attention to, the first thing? And then what do you conclude with what you're paying attention to? What do you decide this person is going to do, or what's going to happen. And then from the action choice, how do you decide, or what do you decide to do with the ball? Let me put it that way. What do you decide to do with the ball? Do you decide hold it, dribble it, pass it over the head, pass it to somebody else? What do you decide to do with the ball? And then on the action side, we ask the same question. So what did you actually end up doing with the ball? And how well did you do it? If you decided to pass the ball, did you end up passing the ball? And then how well did you pass it? Who did you pass it to? How well did you pass it? All that kind of stuff. So now you see it. So the whole idea now is basically, when you're thinking of activities, you're asking yourself two things: decisions and actions. Whenever you're in an activity, you're thinking decisions and actions, you're thinking macro and micro. So if you're looking at it regardless of decisions, actions, macro and micro. And with decisions, you're asking yourself, first, what sense am I making of the situation? What am I paying attention to? And how am I determining what it means? And then what am I choosing to do about it in service of my results? And then you're thinking, okay, what did I actually do? And how well did I do it? Macro or micro?